everybody. It's Sunday night, and this is Servette Hassan. The name of the show is Intuitive Inc., and you beautiful people are in for a big surprise because we are going to boogie down tonight. I know the theme is Boogie Your Way to Betterment, which is because I have the author of a book called The Intuitive Dance on the line. Her name is Atherton Drenth. She's calling from Ontario, Canada. She is a certified medical intuitive and holistic energy practitioner, and she's been in private practice since 2000. Not 2,000 years, but since the year 2000. And she's conducted over 35,000 healing balances on clients from all over the world. She knows what she's doing, and it's a great book. There's a lot of really good information in it. And speaking of betterment, she was also featured in the documentary Voyage to Betterment as one of the 12 experts in the fields of consciousness, research, and spirituality. Welcome, Atherton.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in on a Sunday night from Canada, 3 hours ahead of us. So I really appreciate it and your time.
Well, you're welcome. It's an honor to be on your show. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I like this book. It's called The Intuitive Dance, Building, Protecting, and Clearing Your Energy is the subtitle. And you use a lot of reference to dancing in the book as you go, because I remember there was a part towards the end where you were talking about getting stuck in your energy, and you were using the analogy of a sticky dance floor where your feet just can't quite move, you know?
Yes.
Well, first of all, let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
I think this all started from what I gathered from the book, I think this all started for you when you had a near-death experience. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Sorry.
What happened? Go ahead.
So I never thought that I would end up becoming a healer, but I had a vision when I was very young that told me that I was going to die in my 45th year. And I had never feared death, so I just accepted it. And as I got closer to my 45th birthday, I started, secretly preparing for my passage. And what I didn't realize was that it wasn't going to be a physical death; it was going to be a spiritual death. And I had had problems with my health for most of my life, and they were just getting progressively worse. And by the time I was 45 and I had a very successful job in corporate, I was passing out at work. I was 98 pounds. I suffered from severe insomnia. I would get crippling aura migraines. And one day I collapsed at work and I woke up in emergency. And so I ended up being home for 6 weeks. I was sleeping 23 hours a day. The doctor kept saying there was nothing wrong with me, that I was just faking it, and finally my boss called her up and said that she had to do something. So long story short, through all of this, I had a very unusual experience where I heard a knock at the door one day. So I got out of bed and went down and opened the door, and there was a newspaper at the door, which was odd because we didn't get the newspaper. And when I picked it up and threw it down on the table, it literally opened up to a page that told me about this young man who could help people with migraines. And I went to see him, and he helped me a fair bit, but I wasn't getting better, and he sent me to see another healer. And when I went to see him, I'd never seen anybody do work like that. I had no concept of what it meant to have energy work done. And I almost left, but I heard a voice just say, no, you need to stay, so I did. And the minute he touched me, I knew that he knew what was wrong with me. And he looked at me, and I said, what's wrong with me? And he said, well, you're a celiac. You have celiac disease. And it was confirmed by a biopsy 3 days later. The specialist that did the biopsy said that there was nothing left of my digestive tract. He said, it's a miracle you're still alive. So they told me it would be at least 2 years before I could go back to work. But I started seeing this healer, and I was going down every 2 weeks for 10 sessions, and he had me back at work in 3.5 months. And he was the one that said to me, you're a very gifted intuitive, and he said, you could be doing what I'm doing. And I thought he was nuts, but I thought, well, let's take the training because I was curious. I'd never seen anything like that before. And it took me a year to get my certification, and I quit my corporate job, and I had a full-time practice in 3 months, and I've never looked back.
Wow.
And that was 16 years ago.
Wow.
So then I found out years later that what I had gone through is what they call the shaman's death, where you have to die to the physical aspect of who you think you are in order to finally embrace who you truly are.
Well, yeah, I think in Eastern philosophies and all the people, most all of them say you must die before you die.
Yes. In
order to ascend to the next level of consciousness. And, I think even in the Bible it says die unto God. Every religion and every human potential movement talks about that. You really do have to kind of go through a spiritual death of some kind. Yours was pretty physical as well, too.
Right, and part of that near-death experience was waking up in the middle of the day to find an angel standing beside my bed. And she looked at me and she said, "It's your choice. You can live or you can die." And my first response was, I'm tired. I can't do this anymore. Can I please go? And I started to lift up from my body, and there was just this moment of absolutely sublime bliss. And then all of a sudden I was just like, I'm leaving my husband with 2 teenagers to raise, and I just kind of paused and I said, "Can I change my mind, please?"
And she said, "Of course you can," right?
And yes, and I just dropped back into my body, and then that's when everything fell into place, finding all the right people to help me to heal and get the answers. So.
Wow. So are you mostly a medical intuitive?
Well, I'm sort of a combination of several different things. I mean, I've been trained in numerous different healing modalities, and being a medical intuitive is part of that. And for me, as a medical intuitive, what it means is that I'm able to track the body and listen to its messages to see where they're coming from. And once we locate where that message is coming from in the body, then using my other healing techniques, we're able to pull that forward into consciousness so that the misperception can be released so the body can continue what it would do not naturally, and that's heal.
Right, I see. Yeah, of course. I look at intuitive ability differently. I separate it from psychic ability because to me, psychic ability is someone moving into your energy field, pulling out energy, and then if you're not very good and you haven't done it very long, there's some room for error because you can end up using your mind to interpret the information you get, which can leave room for error, human error. But some people don't. So there are good psychics and there are others that use their mind too, which is hard. To me, though, intuitive ability is different. It's almost like, we have instincts in our mind that tell us how to, breathe and blink and chew and, we don't, we're not telling ourselves to breathe, at least I hope not, because we're just doing it, right? So it's kind of a spontaneous reaction of our mind, our instinct. And to me, intuition is a spontaneous reaction of our soul, that it's our direct connection to a higher source, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, and it's never, ever, ever wrong. It's just we question it when we start to think about it. Does that make sense to you, or do you feel that way?
Well, I think that there's a big difference between a psychic and intuitive. To me, a psychic is somebody who will predict the future based on what they're seeing at that moment in time. Intuition is listening to that inner divine to finding the truth of what's really going on.
Right. I agree.
And so everybody's an intuitive, and when you're a medical intuitive, you're using your intuitive from a medical standpoint. So you're looking for the aspect of the physical body or the emotional body that is locked down. So I call it looking for the blocks.
Right.
So somebody, for example, who has pain in their knee, we will go and we will be with the knee, and I will track the knee, and I'll be looking at the anatomy in the knee using my intuitive abilities. And then there may be a story there. So I may hear pain, and so I will acknowledge pain, and then I'll hear age 12. So then I'll say to the client, at age 12, was there anything in particular that happened that caused you any pain? And the client may respond, I was playing hockey and I fell down and I hurt my knee and I ripped my cartilage. okay, well, let's talk about that. What's going on in your life at that moment in time? Well, I was really upset, and I was going through all these changes, and there was this boy in my class that I really loved, and he broke my heart. And then we find where the loop is, mm-hmm. and we pull that out and release it, and then there's this shift in consciousness, and then the knee pain goes away.
Right. Once it's acknowledged, usually, and they can, feel it and understand it, then it can leave. It can shift.
Well, and and in that particular instance, there can be this, he really hurt me. Okay, so if he really hurt you, what beliefs have you formed as a result of that? Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't think anybody would ever really love me again. Well, is that true? Well, no, it isn't. Mm-hmm. Okay, so can you shift your consciousness around that?
Right.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. And then once it's acknowledged, it's easier to let go. Now, that was interesting what you just said, because you said that you would hear, so that the age 12 or something like that. So that, are you clairaudient or are you clairvoyant? And just name the different types of intuition that we have for the people out there that I know what they are, but tell everybody else what they are.
So everybody's intuitive, but there's four primary types of intuition. The first one is clairvoyant. The other is clairvoyant is clear seeing. The next is clairaudient, which is clear hearing. The next is claircognizant, which is clear understanding or knowingness. And then there's the clairsentient, which is clear feeling. Mm-hmm. Everybody has all four, but one is going to be dominant. So I have all four abilities, but I'm predominantly a clairvoyant. Mm-hmm. My secondary is being claircognizant, and then my last is clairaudience.
Oh, your last is. Okay.
I have some clairsentience, but not to the degree that some of my colleagues do.
No, yeah, that one's last for me too. I mean, I don't really, but I'm mostly clairvoyant and really and clairaudient both, almost equally, which is kind of interesting. But
yes.
And then the rest is kind of, when I feel it, I know some people when they're clairsentient, when they feel their intuition, they feel it in their gut usually, but I feel it in my heart area. If something hits me there, I know it's, yeah.
And I would agree with you, because the clairsentience that, especially when I've been teaching or I've TA'd for my instructor, there are predominantly two different types of clairsentience, those that, feel it in their gut, and then those who feel it in their heart. And it can be very confusing if you're not sure how you are feeling it for yourself. Mm-hmm. Because the other thing that clairsentients are like little human Velcros. They pick up everybody's emotions. And then when they do that, if they're out of touch with that clairsentience, they think they've either caused the problem, need to create it, or they have to fix it, right?
Right, exactly. Okay, so what prompted you to write this book? Is this your first book, by the way?
No, this is my second book. My first book I wrote back in 2009, and it was Following Body Wisdom, and that just describes what energy medicine is and how it can work. This book came about as a result of the fact that, clients were coming to me and asking me, the work that I've been doing with them is so great, and there's stuff that they would like to do when they go home. Is there anything I can give them? So I started sharing with them techniques that I was using in my own life that I had found really helpful as I was going through that journey of healing. Mm-hmm. And the first thing was the vertical axis, and then I got into cord cutting and dreamtime management. And I realized I'd put this little booklet together, so I was handing out this little booklet all the time. And then I was talking to a colleague of mine down in the U.S., actually, and she said, why don't you send it to my agent and see what she says? And I thought, well, yeah, okay, well, I'll do that. So I sent it to my agent at Lisa Hagen, and she loved it, and Llewellyn bought the book, and then I wrote it.
Well, there you go. Yes, I've written 3 books for Llewellyn, so I know how that goes. Once once you're in, you're in. So that's a good thing too. So I love the idea of dancing with your intuition, because we are dancing with it. There is a dance that goes on. And a lot of that dance is, I love you call the ego, I think you called it the inner crazy. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that it is. isn't it? I mean, that's that voice in there that just, makes everything difficult. And took a long time for me. I meditate every day. Do you as well?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Yeah. I think most everybody that reaches a certain level, I think it's kind of crucial. I don't know any human potential movement or any religion or any spiritual path of any kind that doesn't, advocate moments of silence.
Yes, and it gets to the point when you're a regular meditator that you start to crave it and you miss it.
Oh, it's people tell me they don't have time to meditate. And I said, did you have time to brush your teeth this morning? And they're like, yeah. And I said, that's how it is for me. If I don't meditate, I feel I'm bumping into the wall by noon. Mm-hmm. I would, just like if you forgot to brush your teeth, you would be like, oh gosh, something's wrong,
Yeah,
I can't.
Scuzzy, yeah.
I can't not meditate. But so no, I do advocate that. But I really think that it's, talk about the 3 simple things and how that came about.
So the 3 simple things were the first 3 things that I started handing out to clients, and it's the vertical axis, and it's cord cutting, and then dream time management. And then I was talking to a colleague one day, and I said, wouldn't it be lovely if there was a way to figure out how to measure the success of those 3 simple things? Well, she was formerly a research scientist, and she said, oh yeah, there's, we could put this into a study. So we put our heads together, and then we contacted another colleague of ours. She worked at the Paradigm Center, Dr. Michelle Calley, who's a naturopath. And we devised this protocol, and we asked for volunteers. And we got 30 volunteers together, and we said, what we want you to do is we want you to do the vertical axis every morning, and then every night you'll do the vertical axis and cord cutting and then dream time management. It's not going to take you any more than 5 minutes a day. If it's taking you longer than that, then you're trying too hard. And then what we did is we had them fill out a questionnaire at the beginning of the study, and we had them do it at day 20 and at day 40. And we were measuring their blood pressure, their urine pH, and their heart rate. And what we started to notice is we weren't seeing much of a change in urine pH. We were seeing blood pressure come down just a little bit, but nothing that we could say, oh, look at how it's reducing blood pressure. What really blew us away was what the emotional response to these surveys that we were getting back, because everybody started reporting the same thing. They couldn't believe how much happier they were, how much more peaceful they were. Their monkey mind was slowing down. They were sleeping better. They felt that they were more capable of handling chaos. We had two women going through really extreme emotional trauma. One woman was her daughter was dying, and another woman was losing her mother. And those 2 women said they would never have been able to make it through those death marches without doing this study. Wow. So we found that it dramatically reduced people's stress and anxiety anywhere from 30 to 50% after 40 days. So I included that in the back of the book, what the 3 simple things were, how to do them, and we even included a survey in the book so people could even monitor their own success.
Wow, good. I didn't see that because I got an e-galley of an uncorrected proof of the book, so that's okay. But that's nice to know it's there because I would like to see that. So I'll have to check that out when I get the actual book, which I will. And you mentioned several times in the book your belly button time. Is that the same as? Yeah. I just like the way you put that because there's another place in the book where you say be the belly button. And you know what? Yes. It was about exploring your subconscious mind, I believe, because I read this a while ago. And I remember sitting there and looking at my belly button and going okay, yeah, I actually kind of need to. I haven't seen my belly button in a while, It's I like 59 or 50, almost 59, and I like you don't see that very often anymore. So no, but I like that idea. But I did the vertical axis, which was interesting, and I also did some cord cutting, and I haven't done sleep time management yet because I don't know what happened. I was just in a different, I haven't gotten there yet, but I will. I know, okay. I saw what it was about. Well, you know what? Because I have trouble sleeping, like a lot of people in this day and age. You know, so.
Well, I think you'll find the dream time management to be very effective in helping to manage that.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But just briefly, because I want people to go out and get the book, again called The Intuitive Dance. But briefly, the vertical axis is about grounding.
Yes.
Right? And then, go ahead.
So the vertical axis is a different form of grounding. It's one of the most effective grounding techniques that I've ever found, because what it does is it connects you to heaven and earth at the same time. And it helps you to bring the two energies together in your heart. And with that, you're bringing together the divine love of the Earth Mother, and you're bringing together the divine love of Spirit or God. And then it's not only sending it out into your own energy field, but you're also sending it out to your family, your community, and to the planet. And Lord knows we need a lot of love on the planet right now.
Well, boy, don't we? Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, and I did that, and I did the second one. The
cord cutting.
The cord cutting. Now, I found that interesting. Explain to people what cords are. I know what they are, because I just cut some, but we're attached to people in more ways than we think we are.
Well, exactly. So there's 3 types of energy that comes into the body. The first one is the one that comes in through the belly button, and that's the silver cord of life, and that's your connection to the divine, and we have nothing to do with that. When I'm doing any cord cutting. People who have had an out-of-body experience always talk about following the cord back to your body, and that's why you still have a belly button, which I think is kind of cool. The next are love cords, and there are love cords with anybody you're connected to, partner, children, pets, relatives, and I don't touch love cords. Love cords are totally outside of my purview. I don't cut them and I don't remove them. Fear cords, on the other hand, are an energy that can transfer between two people, and they can get very sticky and very messy. And it's like, I say to clients, it's like being wrapped up in twine. You get used to it, but it hampers your movement, and it becomes more and more restrictive. And they don't belong there, and they serve no purpose, and they're an energetic nuisance. They're very easy to remove, and whether, when we're in contact with people all day, any day, whether it be the telephone repairman or somebody at work, there are these energetic interactions, and they can create fear cords, and you just want to clear them off at the end of the day. So the cord cutting just cleans you up. You brush your hair, you brush your teeth, you cut cords at night.
Right. Oh, so do you do it every night?
Every single night.
Right. So it doesn't matter even if it's just a chance encounter with someone who bashed you too hard as they were walking down the street or something.
Yeah, because you don't know when you've picked up stuff, because it can even be people who've been thinking about you, and you have no idea what it is, right? Because our thoughts are transferred between people even if you're not in contact with them.
Well, how are you cutting cords if you don't know who you're cutting cords with?
Well, there are different types of cord cutting, and when I'm talking about doing cord cutting at night, that's just general maintenance. That's just cleaning up all the stuff that might be hanging around, sticking to your field like cat hair that you don't know it's there. So it's an energetic lint remover.
Right.
If I've had an interaction with somebody that is deeply troubling, well, then that's a different kind of fear cord, and then I have a more evolved cord cutting technique in the book, so people can deal with that.
Right. With toxic relationships and things like that, I know are very difficult for people, and it's hard to cut those cords. Well, and as a parent, parents are forming fear cords with their children all the time, and I do it. I know better, but I'm still doing it, and now I'm a grandmother, so I do lots of cord cutting with my kids and my grandbabies. Right. Good. I do it, and I tell my daughter I'm doing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll tell her I'm getting in your stuff, and I can't tell. She just graduated from the University of Pennsylvania Law School. She doesn't listen to me when I talk about cords, but she'll just go. She rolls her eyes and keeps moving. But I just say I got in your stuff. I shouldn't have. Some energetically or something, and she'll just go, okay, I get it, and that's it.
Yeah.
She kind of.
Yeah, and I don't say anything to my kids because I know I've done it, and they don't need to know about it, and I will clear it.
Yeah.
When I help clients clear quartz, they're always surprised when, they get home and they say, well, Mom was on the phone and I didn't tell her what I was doing, but she just seemed to know something was different. And I'll say, well, how was the conversation? Oh, it was great. We had a lovely conversation. Haven't been able to talk to my mother like that in a long time.
Right.
So
that's great.
It served its purpose.
Right, exactly. Well, yeah, and for all I know, I don't think my daughter listens to anything I say.
Yeah, my kids kind of roll their eyes too, and they go, "Yeah, Mom, we love you, whatever."
Yeah, that's yeah, exactly what I get too. So no, that's kind of cool. It's already almost halfway through the show here, so I am going to open the lines if it's okay with you for anybody to call in if they have a question. If they have a question, they can call. So
okay,
the
sounds
number
great.
is 949-313-8880. We're on the line with Atherton Drenth, who's a medical intuitive and a holistic energy practitioner. So if you have any energy practitioner, I have to say these words, if you have any questions about anything that's going on with you, or if you've ever questioned about what kind of psychic or intuitive abilities you have, then call in and ask, because she'll be happy to answer it. I know she will. So, I think this is a great journey. I don't think there are any accidents in life. You've been on a great journey, and it all brought you here.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I agree with you totally.
Right.
Everything is synchronous, and everything happens for a reason.
Exactly. So you got brought to this. Now, do you do workshops or seminars, or are you just strictly client based? Oh,
I do offer yearly workshops, and I'm just in the process of putting a new one together based on the book, The Intuitive Dance.
Okay, hold on. We have a caller. Hello.
Okay.
Hello. Hello. I don't know what happened here. Hold on.
Okay.
Hello. Are you on the line? No, we have somebody on the line, but we're not hearing them. So I'm going to hang up that call and see what happens, if they call back or not. So
okay.
Okay, so you were talking about workshops. Oh, here we go again. Hold on. It doesn't want to add to group. It's doing something funny. I can't answer that, or it won't. It will put you on hold, and I don't want you on hold. So hold on a second here. Let's try to figure this out. Okay. Oh, hopefully they'll call back. But this is what happens when you do live. It's like things happen. So I don't know why it's not adding to group, but it's not. So I need it to do that. I can't I can't just take it. So let's see if I can do it this way. Okay, I can't do it that way. Okay, so we'll just hope that we can get them on here in a different way. Now, you are doing workshops. I know someone has a question, but we're not getting it through here. Maybe they can. You know what you can do if you're listening live? Go ahead and email it or text it to me. Text it to me, and I can put your question on the air, and you can hear it. So that's a good idea too. So if you're listening and you're trying to get through and you're frustrated, for some reason that call is not adding to group, it's just wanting me to put this call on hold. So go ahead and text me the question, and I'll ask it on the air for you. How's that? Okay, so what is the name of your website, by the way?
It's athertondrenth.com.
Okay, we're going to have to spell that for everybody.
So it's ATHERTONDRENTH.com.
Okay, great. And are all the seminars and everything else are on there?
Yes. When I start to do my offerings, they'll be on that. Yes.
Good. Okay, great. Still doing the same funny thing with this call, and I'm hoping someone's listening, but they're not listening at the same time. Well, good. And can you get the book on your website as well?
Yes, and my book is also available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and at the Llewellyn's website as well.
And what about the last book? Is that still available on your website as well?
Yes, it is, and it's available in electronic format. Now you can order hard copies through Amazon as well, but on my website it's electronic. It's all EPUBs.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right, that's interesting and great. So and you also do private sessions, obviously, right? In your
Yes, I
town.
do. Yes.
Do you travel
Yes.
to do those as well, or are you mostly just doing those where you are in your office?
I do a lot of distance. So I have clients from around the world that I've never met, and I work with them by distance. And they call in at the appointed time, so they book an appointment, and then my assistant will sets up that protocol, and then they call in and we work together over the phone, and that's how we do that.
Is it harder for you on the phone or not?
No, it doesn't make any difference to me. I mean, energy is energy. So whether you're there in front of me physically or I'm talking to you over the phone, it doesn't make any difference. Mm-hmm. I have some clients who prefer to see me in person. They like that personal contact, where, there are other people that are quite happy to do distance.
Well, I actually, sometimes it's easier for me on the phone because I'm in another world. I'm not. Also, you know what? I can't see the person, which makes a difference because there's nothing coloring my intuition at all. It's just coming straight through from some other place. And I kind of like it when I'm in my own space and I'm just, I zone. For some reason, the phone can sometimes be a little bit easier, a little less distracting for me. But it really doesn't make a difference, but,
Well, we go into an alpha state when we're doing healing work, right? Mm-hmm. And definitely. And that's why it's important, for me to set up the energies so that I can manage inside that alpha state and still be clear. So,
okay.
I'm in that alpha state, whether it's in person or over the phone.
Right. Okay, what the caller just texted in and said, her name is Lisa. She said, I'm hoping that you, Atherton, might be able to determine if her thyroid imbalance is being treated properly or if she should adjust my protocol. I'm not sure what that means. But
okay, so she's basically asking me to do a medical diagnosis, and I can't do that.
Okay. Well, what's the difference between you're medical intuitive, but you don't actually diagnose something? So would you get a feeling about her thyroid that you could tell her about?
Well, yeah. So what I would do is once I had permission from her to connect, I would connect to her thyroid and find out what the issue is with her thyroid. But then it would be up to her to decide, working with her doctor, if the protocol that she has selected for herself is working or not. See, in Canada, the rules are very clear about what we can do and what we can't do.
Okay. So you would be
people come to me with a diagnosis. They say, "Oh, I have a thyroid problem," and I'll say, "Okay, so you have a thyroid problem. What are you hoping I can help you with?" Well, I want to know if this work is going to help me with the thyroid. So then we go in and find out what's blocking the thyroid, and 9 times out of 10 it's an emotional issue, and we deal with the emotional issues so that the protocol that they're using from their doctor is more effective and starts to heal the process.
Well, right. So, but when she says, my thyroid imbalance, is it being treated properly? Would you be able to tell that?
I would rather not.
Okay. No, I want you to be honest. Okay. All right. So, because I don't do that kind of stuff. I'm not a medical intuitive. I can be. But what I do is I just say, I feel something in that area, go talk to somebody, because I'm not a doctor. Go see a doctor. That's what I do, and I do the same thing with legal issues too. This is kind of how I feel, but you need to talk to somebody who's an expert, because I won't go there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, another question from another caller that people have been, for some reason Skype tonight is not letting me join the call into this call, so it just wants me to put you on hold and take the call. I'm not sure why. But anyway,
Okay.
So that the rest of the question about the thyroid, though, is she said she wanted to know what the emotional block is and that you have my permission to connect to my thyroid.
Okay. Well, then the first instance that I get is that there's a real blockage at the lower half of her thyroid, and it's like something's galling her. There's a lot of anger. It's not so much holding her tongue as opposed to managing her rage. There's something that needs to be said. There's something that needs to be completed, and she either can't make that other person do what she wants them to do, or she feels that she needs to wait until this other person is finally getting their act together so that she can move forward. And I would say that that's what's holding her back. There are ways of speaking your truth honestly and lovingly, and conveying your anger without being in a rage. And when we start to try to impose our will on other people, we're never going to get any success, because the problem isn't them, the problem is you, and you're waiting for them to move because they become a convenient block. So that's what I would say is the issue here.
Wow. Okay. Let's see how she responds to that. I'm sorry I can't join them. They could try again, but here's another caller with another question. And she says, I have some things going on with my children and me and want to know in your intuitive ability what I need to do to have this family again. Also, can you do this with pets, and where can I learn more for this? I do energy work and getting into pet communication and chakra clearing. Not sure if the first is good for her, but I always am clearing my throats and drainage almost my whole life. What can I do? She also has my permission to do what she needs to do. Okay, so what the
first name is?
Again, Lisa. We have two Lisas. Different Lisa, because this one's on the other side of the country. So,
okay. With regards to her children, I would say that doing cord cutting with each of the children would be really important. If the children are living at home, I would do space clearing because it feels like the energy in the home is running more on the toxic side. It feels like the emotional boundaries between parent and child is blurred. There's too much meddling going on and not trusting the children to make some of their own decisions. And the more we try to help our children under the precept of, well, I'm your parent and I love you, the more a child will push us away because they want their opinion to be respected. So there comes a time when you stop telling your kids what to do and you start asking them what they really need and what they want. With regards to clearing her throat, that feels like she's got an underlying sinus infection that's being missed. Something's not draining properly. And as far as training with animals, there's lots of really great animal communicators. If she goes to my website and goes to the reference list, I have a woman by the name of Sue Becker who does a wonderful job of training people how to communicate with animals. I no longer work with animals just because I'm too busy, but I do have colleagues who do. And again, if she goes to my website and looks at the reference sheet, she will be able to get some contacts there.
Good. No, good. I think that was it. I think it was about her children, and then let me just take a look. With pets, we talked about that. The throat, yeah. That was it. I hope I know she's listening, so we'll see what she said. Okay. Now the first person. Atherton, the first person that asked about her thyroid said this.
Yes.
Holy cow, she's spot on. Oh. I will try to manage my emotions, quote, lovingly, unquote. Very good.
Well, I appreciate the feedback.
Well, I know. I mean, I always have them call in, and it's great because you get to hear their voice and everything, but you picked up on their energy anyway, which is really good. I mean, some people can't do that, but I always go with my gut, and or not my, I shouldn't say my gut because it's not in my gut. I don't question, I just go with what comes to me right at the first thing that comes. And it's usually spot on because that's not coming from where I am. It's coming from something else. So, yeah, so this is great. I'm glad we got some callers to call in. If you want to try, anybody else out there wants to try calling in, if it lets me join the group, I'll do that. And if it doesn't, I'll just, you just text me and I'll put you on the line via me telling what the question is. It seems to work. It's great.
Yeah, it seems to be working. It's great.
I know. I love it. I think it's awesome. Well, this has really been a great conversation. If anybody else has anything they want to ask me, go ahead. We're doing it via text right now. So 949-735-3983. Try calling in though again first at 949-313-8880. Here's yet another text. So, this is the response to the woman with the kids and the drainage that you just answered. And she said, yes, it is toxic. I want to trust my kids, but they are not truthful. I did clear the home a few weeks ago. So that's a good thing. And you talked about that in your book too. You talked about feng shui, that you were having real issues in your house. And then you had a friend that came over and moved some furniture around. And had you redo the front door so it would open the other way, which I found interesting because that can make a huge difference. A huge difference. Oh, yeah. It worked for you. Yeah. So, yes.
Yes, it did.
And you said you don't, do you use sage? You said, well, other than it smells like pot sometimes, so you can't always use it. But do you recommend using sage to clear?
No, I don't use sage. I use incense. I use real Japanese sandalwood. That's my essence of choice, and I work better with that. I mean, some people love sage. I have colleagues who love sage, but I've just my husband and my kids complained about the smell, so I just stopped using it, and so I just use sandalwood.
Oh yeah, I do too. I use I use a lot of things. I use what I think I need at the time, and that's an intuitive thing as well. It's like sometimes it could be lavender, and I use different things for protection than I would if I needed lightness or clearing bad energy if some people came in my house that I didn't. So it's just a question of what. Yeah, speaking of that, you talked about protection and protecting yourself. And you have something called the dome. But, right, let's talk about that a little bit. You also do it with light as well. Like I use white light. Well,
so there's the white light of protection that's been around forever.
Right.
And then I do shielding, which is a variation of the white light of protection. Because the white light of protection does just that. It protects you. So it holds everybody off at a distance. And I used to do that in the beginning, and then people would say, well, Atherton's a lovely lady, but you don't feel like you can get very close. So when I asked for instruction from my angel guardians, I was shown what I call shielding. And it's a way of using the white light and turning it into different colors, depending on what you want to do. So with shielding, what I'll do with clients is that I will shield myself in pink light so people can see me and feel me and touch me, but then they can't connect or attack or get in up underneath my skin. So that's a form of protection that I use when I'm working with clients, and it just keeps everything nice and clear for them and clear for me.
That's nice.
And
you also have something called the cloak of privacy, which is a form of protection as well, I feel, right?
Yeah. Well, the cloak of privacy is really a really useful tool for people, especially people who have severe form of anxiety, who have difficulty being out in public because they can feel too much. So if I'm dealing with a highly empathetic, highly sensitive clairsentient, then the the cloaking is very effective for them. And it's kind of fun to play with because when I first learned how to do it, I remember going to the mall and covering myself with a cloak and just covering myself right up. I couldn't get service from a sales clerk for love nor money. It was hilarious. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, oh yeah, I'm cloaked, so I can see them, but they can't see me. So then I would flip my hood down, and then all of a sudden they'd see me and say, oh yes, madam, can I help you?
Well, yeah, yeah, right. But too, tell them it's not just it's not a real cloak. It's a cloak that you imagine and then you keep with you.
Yes,
right.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. And you can access it at a moment's time, and it's always with you, and it's yours and yours alone.
Right.
And there's a very easy and simple visualization exercise that you can go through to find out what your personal cloak is.
Right. I get it. I mean, I do, and I use it. So I've been doing that for a little differently, but I've been doing it for 100 years at least. Someone else is trying to call in again, and it's doing the same thing it's been doing tonight, which it's never done before, which is if I answer it, they will be put on hold. You will be put on hold, so it doesn't work. So if you're trying to get in on the line, just text me at 949-735-3983. It's my business line, and I will see it immediately, and I can ask the question for you. So if you're listening, do that now, and you can still get in. We can still get in one more quick question. That's about it because we're running out of time. We're kind of winding down here. So is there anything you wanted to say about the book that I didn't ask about? Because there's so much in it, really.
Oh, there is a lot of material in the book. I feel it's important to talk about emotional blackmail because it's a type of energy tyrant that a lot of us are dealing with and we don't realize it. It's what I consider to be a very subversive form of emotional bullying. And emotional blackmail is any type of a put-down that makes you feel powerless and ineffective. They can be emotionally crippling and life-limiting, and to me it's a form of a very subtle form of verbal abuse. I think that it's getting more pervasive, and I think that a lot of us are being subjected to it, and it's something that we need to learn how to stand up to, which is very easy to do once you understand what it is and how to identify it, and then there are techniques in the book on how you can overcome it. Mm-hmm. I think we have a lot of women in particular who are caught in very toxic relationships, and they don't realize that they're being emotionally blackmailed into staying, and I think it's a tragedy, and it doesn't need to be happening.
Right. Yeah, I know women in particular do that. A lot of my clients have, and they need to learn to say no and not be blackmailed into that place where you don't.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. And the other thing too, I saw in your book was you quoted Andrea Matheson, who said, "You are a soul that has built a body, not a body seeking a spirit," which I loved.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what the whole book is about, really, in a way, because it's about we're not our body. We're go ahead.
We're a soul. We're a soul having a human journey.
Right.
And the whole premise of the book is learning to get in touch with this natural, intuitive gift, so that you can learn how to master your ego, so that it's your soul that's in charge and not your ego.
Right.
I mean, we can't destroy our egos. We need our egos, but we also have to realize that our ego, the majority of the time, is just a very frightened inner child.
Right.
And our spirit and our connection to the divine can help us to learn how to manage it, so that it's not calling the show.
Right.
You know, it's not,
we do. Yeah, we need an ego. We do. It's our personality, but the ego was meant to be a slave to the spirit, not the other way around.
Exactly. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I also think I'm going to do the Dreamtime work because I know when I was studying, well, I still am, I always will be, but, 100 years ago, I remember all of the mystics telling me that Dreamtime was sort of your soul work time as well. Exactly. To not let that time just go to waste, that it's very, very useful. And even the American Indians, or just Indian Indians in general, used to use that time, they said, to walk around and do other things in their dream time, in their work, in their dreams.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
And I think we kind of mix it up because we try to resolve our problems that we haven't resolved during the day in the dream time, when what we can be doing is moving into higher levels of spiritual consciousness and getting divine help to find those answers rather than trying to wander around and deplete ourselves doing it ourselves.
Right, exactly. Right. No, good point. And I think too, for the woman that had the thyroid issue and then she said you were spot on and everything, I think her cutting cords would really help too. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yes, it's amazing how healing cutting cords can be. People don't really understand the power of the dramatic changes they can bring about until they've done it, and they're going, wow. How could something so simple be so profound and make such a difference? No, it really does. And there's so much in this book. Everybody out there, if you want it, go get it. It's called The Intuitive Dance, Building, Protecting, and Clearing Your Energy. But there's like I could have gone on for another 2 hours at least, and you still wouldn't know it all. So you have to kind of go and get it and try these things. The part of the reason I liked it so much is that it's simple. It's not some big, complicated affair to go into, hours or 20 minutes in a pretzel shape or something. It's not like that at all. Yes. One of the callers has just texted me back, and because I'm talking about her thyroid thing and she should cut cords. Her question is, cut emotional cords or physical cords? Well, fear cords can be physical and emotional. Mm-hmm. So when you are setting the intent to cut a fear cord, it will take care of it at any level, physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual. Right. Okay. Good. But it is not and will not cut the love cord. Well, right. There are things, it won't cut the love cord and it won't cut the life cord. I don't think we can do that, right, even if we try. No, you can't. So, right. I mean, I can't. And I think if you are an ascended master that can, then you would probably leave us at that moment. Yes. From the physical plane, you know what I mean? So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so your website, again, is your name, and it's Atherton Drenth, and I have to ask, is that your real name? Yes, it is. Oh, I was born with it. It's cool. I mean, wow. Well, thank you. Was your mother where did she find Atherton? Well, I was actually named after the first woman my father ever fell in love with, to be honest. Really? Yes, my father my father was an orphan, and he got a job working as a houseboy for a very wealthy family. And a young woman by the name of Lady Atherton had come over from England to visit, and he got fired for talking to her. But he said that he loved and worshipped her from afar, and he just decided that if he ever had a daughter, he wanted to call her Atherton. My parents were a May-September marriage, and my mother was an artist, and she was very eccentric, and she just adored the name. So here I am. Wow. I think you said in your book, too, that she studied theosophy, or you did, yes, but you got it from her. Yeah. Kind of, right? Yeah, she was a student of theosophy, so she would, when I asked the question, she was always ready to share the answer. How cool is that, And then your father, too, who lived a life, I'm sure. And it's both go ahead. Sorry. Both my parents were very, very, very intuitive, and my dad was pretty psychic. So I was lucky in the fact that they recognized it in me at a very early age, and they encouraged it. Yeah, you are. You're lucky. I kind of had the same thing because in Pakistan, where I was born, well, my parents were born in India because there was no Pakistan at that time. But to them, this is all kind of like normal stuff. They have a very different attitude. They don't think it's strange at all. And my father, to this day, when he has a dream, it happens. The difference is he can't have a dream on command. But if he does remember, if a dream comes to him about some future event, especially with his children, it always happens. And I will never forget when I was like in my 20s, and my mother called me out of the blue, and I think I quit, because that was like the 70s or something, the 80s, and I quit smoking, and I'd still cheat everyone, if I went out and partied or whatever. And so it had been a long time, and I hadn't had a cigarette. And my mother called me that morning, and she said to me, "Are you smoking?" And I was like, "Holy cow. I only got one." And I was like, "How the hell? What the heck?" And I went like, "No."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So they're just so used I'm so used to that. They're so used to that. You have been an absolute delight. I would love to have you back on the show again. It's a great book. Atherton Drenth is the website, AthertonDrenth.com. And the name of the book is The Intuitive Dance. I have had a ton of fun, and we had a little bit of a dance. We boogied down on all things intuitive, so I'm glad we did. And thank you for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it, for you taking the time all the way from Ontario, Canada, so a fellow Canadian, and spending time with us. I appreciate it. And the callers were thrilled. I mean, even though they didn't call, the texters, they tried, and that's what happens when you go live. There are sometimes technical difficulties, and I hope that doesn't happen again. But we still got the questions that they had asked, and they were thrilled. The last one just said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you," when you answered the question about emotional or physical cords. So I'm glad we got to do that. We found a way to make it work. And thank you very much for joining me, and have a great, great night.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. It's been an honor, and I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm sure our paths will cross again.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think so. Thanks, Atherton. Good night.
You're welcome. Good night.
Well, everybody, that was another great show. And I have next week a woman named Patricia Wooster. We got some great names going on here. Woo! Patricia Wooster, who has written a book for Beyond Words Publishing House. Okay, we got to talk here now. Beyond Words Publishing. Some things are hard to say together fast, So her name is Patricia Wooster. Woo, 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 woo. And she's written a book called Ignite Your Spark. Discovering Who You Are from the Inside Out. It's a great book. I'm going to have a ton of fun with her too. She's very knowledgeable, and she's saying some things I'm hearing in a little bit of a different way, because when you think about everything's been said, it's just that sometimes we need to hear it in a way we haven't heard it before, to make that aha click go on in our brain, so we can shift that consciousness and actually really change deep down inside. And how do we do that? We do that because then we recognize who we really are. That's where this all comes from, the be you to the full part. And anyway, so if you want to find out more about me, ServetHassan.com. It's ServetHassan.com. Email me at servet@servethassan.com. I love hearing from all of you. I get a ton of emails. I don't always get to answer them all, so please forgive me, but I love to get them. And I just know that I appreciate it, because this is all about you. I will be blogging again and doing a bunch of other things, and I'll catch you up all on that as it gets closer, because there are things happening, but as a writer, you need time to write too. So that's what I'm doing right now, and I will keep you informed. In the meantime, be you to the full, because that is what's truly beautiful. That's what makes your life happen. That's what makes it work. That's what makes everything come together. Manifesting, forget the law of attraction, and all those things are good, but if you really want things to work, be you. Just be yourself. Be you to the full. And good night, and I hope you tune in next week. Thank you, everybody. Take care.